Hey there, and welcome into Main Street Living. I'm Danielle Alvari.
Hey, I'm Quincy Carr, and I got my hat on today. It's a little springy. Like, don't you
Yeah,
think?
that's like
Uh,
you could wear that on Easter Sunday. How did your Easter go? Do you celebrate? Because I, for some reason, even though I'm fully grown, my mother still sends me Easter baskets. So
well, you know what? That means that she loves you. My mother didn't send me anything. Okay.
and
All
get
right.
no chocolates or nothing.
No, didn't
Well,
get
then that
anything.
means you
But you
have
know what? Food was good, but you still got to clean up. And a lot of people talk about spring, meaning spring cleaning.
yeah.
I don't do a lot of spring cleaning
You
because I try
don't
to keep things
participate.
neat. No, no.
How does your wife feel about that?
You know what? The question is, how do I feel about her not doing any spring cleaning? That's the question. That closet is ridiculous.
Can't wait to have you back here around Christmas time because Quincy hates putting his Christmas decorations out as well. So just
Oh,
one more thing of contention here. No
oh my
spring
God.
cleaning. I actually love it. I'm ready to like clean out my closet right now and donate some of that stuff.
All right. Well, you know what? You can go ahead and clean out your closet and donate some things. We'll go ahead and get this show started because we are in great spirits today, including the Spirit of Nevada show, talking about their awesome scholarship program. And you'll also be inspired by a lady in Arkansas doing some good for her community.
Absolutely. That package definitely gets my seal of approval. And speaking of seals, we'll see some today. But first, we can all help to save the oceans. Let's find out how next on Main Street Living.
Hey guys, welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, Danielle, we already know April is Earth Month, and since 72% of the Earth is covered by the oceans, the home sweet home for marine life is clearly something we need to focus our attention on, right?
72%. Why is it called Earth? It should just be called ocean at that point. It's more ocean than it is Earth. Fortunately, our next guest comes from a family that is legendary for promoting the preservation of the oceans. Please welcome in Philippe Cousteau. Philippe, thank you for joining us on Main Street Living.
Well, thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
So, as Quincy mentioned, we are celebrating Earth Month or Ocean Month, however you look at it. But the oceans need our attention all year long. How are oceans looking in 2022?
Well, unfortunately, Danielle, things are not looking that great. The ocean, as you pointed out, is over 70% of our planet, and yet is oftentimes overlooked as really the system that drives our climate, that is and thus responsible for our weather and the rain for our crops. The ocean is really the life support system of Earth. And as you pointed out, it certainly should be called Planet Ocean, not Planet Earth. But regardless, the oceans are in a bad way. Not surprisingly, overfishing and plastic pollution, amongst other pollution, climate change, warming sea temperatures, rising sea levels. It's a litany of bad news that I'm sure most of your listeners see on the news, viewers see on the news, and read about. But there is good news, and I know we're going to get to that. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, well, you co-founded something called EarthEcho. Okay, I know there's so many things that are going on that are changing in the Earth's climate, but what is the goal of that organization?
Well, my grandfather, Jacques Cousteau, was a big inspiration, as you can imagine, on my life, as was my father, Philippe Sr. And, towards the end of his life in particular, he spoke often about the importance of education. And I think he recognized that if we're going to create the kind of social and economic and political change that we need to build a better world, that we need to start with young people and build a generational movement. And so 16 years ago, I founded EarthEcho International, where we've become a leading global environmental education organization, and we're building the global youth movement to restore and protect the ocean. And it's really what gives me hope. I mean, as I listed some of the bad news, the good news is that we have a generation of young people that are fired up, that are engaged, that are optimistic and determined to do things differently. And when I was in high school, we had, like the recycling club, but now we have young leaders around the world, from Africa to South America to the United States, Australia, the UK, Europe, who are passing laws, raising huge sums of money, protecting large tracts of land, leading political movements in their communities and in their countries. And so we're seeing a level of sophistication on the part of young people that is truly extraordinary.
Well, for those of us who are maybe not as young, Philippe, and for those who are young, what are some ways that viewers can help our oceans, even if they don't live by one? I think sometimes out of sight, out of mind. Even if you don't live by an ocean, there's a way to help.
Well, absolutely. Out of sight, out of mind is definitely one of the problems that we face. Our lives, no matter who we are, no matter where we live, are impacted by the ocean every single day. As I pointed out, one example, the oceans regulate our climate, thus our weather, thus the rainfall of our crops. I was giving a speech in Missouri just a few weeks ago at a university and was talking to them, listen, the rainfall and the crops of corn and wheat here is driven by the ocean. So we certainly, whether we live on the ocean or not, have a lot to thank for the ocean. So what can we all do? Well, first of all, recognize that we have power in this country in our vote, right? That's very, very important. We have midterm elections coming up. We're not just talking presidential elections. We need to break down the partisanship around conservation and ocean protection in particular between Republicans and Democrats that's kind of plagued this country for a few decades. We need to move beyond that and recognize all of us have an interest in a healthy ocean and a thriving ocean. In addition, we can think about the things that we buy, from the clothing, maybe stay away from the disposable fast fashion that is one of the biggest polluters on earth. We can think about the cars that we drive and the energy that we use, that's contributing to climate change that is having such an impact on the ocean. So we can think about, the cleaning products that we use in our home, that we go down our drains, go down our toilet, and thinking about how we can buy products that are more sustainable, that are more restorative, and that don't have such a heavy polluting impact on the environment.
Wow. Well, Philippe, you're definitely giving us a lot of information, but we also have the CEO of Newday Impact Investing here to tell us all about how you and others can put your money to work for causes that we care about. Let's welcome Doug Heskey to the show. How you doing, Doug?
I am doing great, and thank you so much for having us this morning.
No problem. Welcome to Main Street. Doug, can you give us a quick explanation of what ESG investing is and how Newday Impact Investing fits into that?
Yeah, of course. So environmental, social, and governance investing, otherwise known as ESG, is a framework from which people can make really good investment decisions to invest in some of the world's most sustainably friendly companies. So that is the core of the work that we do at Newday Impact. We are an institutional asset manager that is building investment portfolios around some of these really important issues, things like ocean health and clean water, wildlife conservation, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But even more importantly, Newday is identified as a collective action platform. So what we try to do is to bridge what is this chasm between awareness and action. We want people of all generations, younger people, older people, going out and actually not just putting their capital behind these really important efforts, but thinking differently about how they conduct themselves, their behavior, the responsible things that Philippe was just referencing in terms of how you run your life on a day-to-day basis.
Nice.
Well, Doug and Philippe, obviously full of valuable information. So we want to get more from you guys if you guys can stick around. And for viewers, don't go anywhere. We will dive a little bit deeper with Doug and Philippe next, right here on Main Street Living. Hey there, and welcome back into Main Street Living. Now, as you know, we are celebrating Earth Day all month long, which I'm officially deeming as Ocean Day because it's 72% of the planet. Please welcome back in Philippe Cousteau and CEO of Newday Impact Investing, Doug Heskey. So, Doug, what inspired your organizations to partner with each other?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question. This, I want to also highlight, this is not just an important week with Earth Day coming up on Friday, but we're coming up on World Oceans Day on June 8th, and I think World Reef Day on June 1st. So it's a really important time for us to all be thinking about the work that we can be doing to support our oceans and ecosystems. So in answer to your question, we operate in a world today where there are those who cling to what is, and those with the vision and imagination to see where we can go. Not only that, but the courage and conviction to lead the way. And certainly Philippe Cousteau, the work of EarthEcho can be clearly defined as that. They are sending a message of hope to a lot of younger people today that are working actively to repair our ecosystems. And we want to get not just younger people, but all people involved in doing that. So when we started our organization, it was built around this idea of authenticity. And certainly there is a lot of criticism today that's been built around environmental, social, and governance investing, which, as I said earlier, is a framework to make great investment decisions, but it is not necessarily impact. So what is impact is what you do with your shareholder or your stakeholder voice. And that's critically important. We as an organization are both advocates and activists. We take 5% of our revenues and drive those revenues back to organizations like EarthEcho International so that they can continue to do the work that they and only they can do from a grassroots perspective. This is so critically important. So we found a partner in EarthEcho because they are very focused on ocean literacy, very focused on the younger generation, which is also an area that we are keenly focused on. And they're an organization that makes things happen.
Yeah, nice. Make it happen there, Philippe, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I appreciate that, Doug. And I say the same about Newday and what you all are doing. I mean, that leadership role, because let's face it, there's a lot of uncertainty in this world. There's a lot of things that we don't know. But there is one thing that we do know, and that there are solutions and that we can build a better world. And what that's going to take, though, and I mentioned this earlier, is moving all in the same direction. And so what that means is we need the tools in order to recognize how we invest our resources. Financial resources, very, very important. Financial markets are, $30 trillion. I mean, this country, it's an enormous amount of money. It's not just enough to recycle and to, support a nonprofit. We need to be thinking about where we invest our dollars. We need to think about who we vote for. We need to think about all those different elements of our behavior. And Newday is a terrific tool, and why EarthEcho is thrilled to be a partner with them to help people do that and make better decisions about how they invest their money. We also believe in restoration. I think one of my main message today is that we need to mobilize capital. We need to mobilize all of our different choices in our lives to restore the world, and we can do that. Enough with sustainability. We don't want to sustain an ocean where 90% of the world's fisheries are fished to capacity or overfished. Half the world's coral reefs are collapsing. Climate change is running forward pell-mell. I think what we need to be thinking about is restoration, not sustainability. And the good news is I've seen examples all over the world when we give nature a chance, when we set areas aside, when we invest in conservation and restoration, it works. And so there are tools in our arsenal at our disposal to build a better world. That's the fundamental message I think we need to be focusing on now, and that the ocean needs to be at the center of that conversation. Everybody talks about planting trees, restoring forests, and that's very, very important. But I'll give you one interesting stat. 1 square acre of mangroves, coastal forests, absorb more carbon than a square acre of rainforest. So looking at ocean ecosystems, which is the largest carbon cycle on Earth, and understanding how we restore the ocean and return the ocean to abundance is going to be our greatest ally in combating climate change. It's all too often overlooked. We need to recognize the oceans are our greatest tool in building a hopeful, restorative future.
So restoration is possible. It's not too late.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, Philippe, in the first segment, you mentioned that you were related to the great Jacques Cousteau, and I can see the passion that both you and Doug have for saving the world. But is that what inspires you, knowing that you have that in your bloodline?
Yeah, growing up with his stories, with his adventures, traveling, was a huge inspiration to me. And he always told us that we have this extraordinary opportunity to see the world and to see all these things. And with that comes a responsibility. With power comes responsibility, the old adage, and as it goes. And he was a big believer in that responsibility. And I do believe myself that, it's the best job in the world. We get to travel and go on adventures and explore the world, and then share that with others and work to inspire others to protect the world and not just keep it to ourselves. So he was a big part of that inspiration for me, and his continued drive to innovate and solve problems and be eternally optimistic, even in the face of a lot of the bad news that cascades down around us these days, and to find the good news, as I've endeavored to do in this conversation and share with you all, that there there is hope, and there are good things happening. We have solutions. We just need the will to enact them.
Yeah, and I love what you touched on there with the responsibility and how it's on all of us. You've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but maybe Doug, you can expand on this, how where we spend our money can actually influence the oceans in a positive way. How does that sustainable investing kind of improve the oceans and the climate in general?
Yeah, I think that this is so critically important. I just returned with my family from Costa Rica, and we had an opportunity to actually get out into some of those mangrove coastal areas. And one of my sons asked me, why isn't it like this in the US? Here you have in Costa Rica a government that's incredibly supportive to environmentalism and ecotourism. And when we get organizations from the top down, governments, corporate organizations, academic institutions, even faith-based institutions working together to solve these problems, there's a lot that can occur. This idea that climate change and social cohesion are a collective action problem, a consequence of shared behaviors that cut really deeply into how we live, work, and play in modern life, demands a different level of action from all of us and all of those constituents that I had previously mentioned. The paradox today is that people at the forefront of climate impact, at least in their own minds, are rarely the people that have contributed much to climate change through their small carbon footprint. So we have to get these larger institutions, governments, and corporate organizations affecting change. What can we do as individuals, as responsibly minded individuals and citizens? We need to be using our voices to get out there and drive for transformational change through political activism and some of the things that we were talking about earlier. Critically important today.
Money talks as well.
Yes.
I think that's the old adage rings true. Money talks, and we need to be mobilizing the markets and the trillions of dollars in those markets to build this kind of restorative, better world, and not just maintain the status quo, which is quite literally killing us.
Yeah, and we think about this. This is a super important adage that we have adopted in our lexicon that was coined by Philippe and his family, right? That we want a seat at both tables. There's $500 billion each year that's given towards philanthropy in the US, but the investment market globally is $60-70 trillion. Even if we were just to capture a small percentage of that, we can have an enormous impact, which is why we do the work that we do. So we have an ocean health strategy that we are partnered on with EarthEcho International, and the more assets that we accumulate in that strategy, the more charitable contributions get driven back towards ocean health.
Awesome. Well, the information that you guys have provided today, I'm sure is going to help a bunch of people look a little bit deeper, into saving this world and saving the ocean. So thank you both, Doug and Philippe, for being part of the show today.
Wonderful. Danielle, thanks for having us. It was terrific.
Well, we need to go to break. And speaking of break, we're not taking a break from these oceans, Danielle, because we're about to take a peek at Rhode Island seals. Stay right there. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back into Main Street Living, Quincy. As you know, our last segment, we learned about things that each of us can do to help keep our oceans healthy. And first on that list is to appreciate how wonderful our ocean and all of its creatures really are.
Yeah, Danielle, and if you're in New England, don't miss the chance to cruise on the Narragansett Bay and spy on their growing population of harbor seals. Check this out.
So my name is Eric Furman. I'm the fleet captain for Save the Bay. Save the Bay is Southern New England's largest environmental nonprofit. Our mission is to restore and protect Narragansett Bay.
So we have our SEAL tour. They run from November all the way up until April.
We depart from Newport, head out towards the Newport Bridge to one of the harbor seals' favorite haul-out spots in the bay, a place that seals regularly congregate.
We saw a great bunch of seals, so it's just super, super cute, yeah.
Today we were looking at seals hauled out on rocks during the low tide cycle. So seals aren't here when most of us are using the bay. They are migratory, so they come down here beginning in November and they leave by the end of April. So many people never see a seal in Narragansett Bay because they're just not out on the water during that time. It's a great time for us to get out, but it does mean that we're out in the winter time, so you got to bundle up a little bit, but it's a great time to see seals.
In the 1960s, fishermen thought they were a liability to their livelihoods, saw them as a threat, and you would have seen zero seals here. But now, due to the Marine Protection Act, we can no longer harass, kill, or alter their behavior in any way. The most recent count was 464 seals. And so now that we have so many seals coming back to us, it's telling us Narragansett Bay is healthier. We know that our bay is being biologically productive. It's able to hold capacity to these seals and have them provide them with their food that they need, especially 464 seals that we have this year.
Anytime we're doing this programming, we want to introduce people to the other animals that are using the bay.
Everything that we do has an impact around us, especially here in Narragansett Bay.
And a big animal like a seal is just such a great introduction. And people really understand that in order for seals to survive and thrive, we need a clean bay. We need a bay that supports a great, diverse bunch of fish and other wildlife in order for those seals to have food to eat. They're a really great way to show that if we take good care of the bay, we'll have really cool things going on. All in all, the bay is a much better place than it was 50 years ago. It's fishable, it's swimmable, and it's a great place for all of us to enjoy.
Wow, Danielle, like they counted over 400 seals this year. It's really good to know that the seals are protected by the Marine Protection Act.
Absolutely. And you can find more information and book your cruise to see the seals at savethebay.org.
Well, Danielle, from saving the bay to giving away money in Nevada, stick around to see who's breaking the bank after the commercial break. Hey guys, welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, Danielle, you're very familiar with this place called Nevada, but what image comes to mind when I say that?
Dryness, chapstick. I need lotion, water.
Oh, no, you know what? If you would have said sparkling lights of Las Vegas, then you wouldn't be alone.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, no, Vegas is spectacular, of course, that comes to mind, but Nevada has so much more to offer in its natural beauty, fascinating history, and exceptional people. Our next guest explores every corner of Nevada and brings us those stories in the show Spirit of Nevada. Please welcome Sam Cheon. Sam, thanks so much for making some time for Main Street Living.
Of course. Hello. Thank you so much for having us on the show today. We are so excited to be here.
Well, so beautiful, beautiful background right off the bat here. You are the writer and host of the Spirit of Nevada show, which runs right here on Your View in the Las Vegas area. What is the show all about?
Okay, so real quick, I want to tell you, I know you think of Vegas dry, hot, not really water, right? So behind me is a view of Laughlin because we're right
That's more like it.
Yeah, exactly. So when I think of Nevada, there's so many different images that come to mind. And Spirit of Nevada was born for the love of Nevada and all of the things that it has to offer, from people to the amazing places to the stories about our history. There is just so much that meets the eye for Nevada. And Spirit of Nevada does that. It showcases all of those things that you wouldn't typically think about when you say, okay, I'm going to Nevada.
So Sam, similar to the river behind you, okay, Spirit of Nevada show is running a scholarship contest right now. So who's eligible, and what do the students need to do? Let me clear my tongue to enter.
No worries at all. So for the Spirit of Nevada scholarship program, it's basically goes over everything that has to do with Nevada. So students of all ages, from elementary to middle to high school students, can all participate. In the past, the scholarship was just high school students. And after traveling around the state and seeing all the different counties and meeting all the amazing people in the other surrounding areas, we decided This year is the time that we're going to go and explore the whole state and allow kids of all ages, starting from kindergarten to high school, to go ahead and enter for this scholarship program.
So
That's
cool.
amazing. So this is not a typical scholarship application though at all. This is a little bit different. Why do you think it was important to make it such a creative process?
What a great question. The reason why we decided to make this more of a creative process and for kids to kind of think outside the box, because we're all good at something, whether it be writing, drawing, music. So we wanted to open this up to all types of students and not categorize it in one area. So now students have the ability to pick the category that they excel in the most and go ahead and tell the story about what they love most about Nevada. This year is A World Apart. That's the theme for the Spirit of Nevada Scholarship Program. And we want kids to just explore what comes to mind when they think of that theme and Nevada and all the amazing places.
Yeah, exploration seems to be the theme of this show as well. But, why did you decide to add a scholarship component to the Spirit of Nevada show?
Yeah, so good question. Another good question is because originally the Spirit of Nevada Scholarship Program was with the Richard Harris Law Firm. And as soon as the Spirit of Nevada was born 5 years ago, we started, and they decided, okay, let's bring it in-house to the Spirit of Nevada, because it's only fitting that your show revolves around Nevada. Why not add a scholarship in order to enhance that whole learning, which is what we want to do, is we want to teach people about our state. And so what better opportunity than have kids find their own interpretation of the state and their stories and share it with everyone else, while also getting some money and cool prizes.
Nice.
Absolutely. And I joke that it was like hot there and everything like that, but it was actually very beautiful. One of my favorite trips is out to the Hoover Dam. Actually, there's just a lot to explore out there that people don't realize. So what will the winners of the scholarships receive, and how is the scholarship funded?
Okay, so there's different for each category, depending on if you're elementary, middle, or high school, the prizes are different. So we'll start with high school students. High school students, the winner of 4 categories, they get $1,000, which everybody loves money, right? And
Right.
they also get an iPad.
Especially in Vegas.
Also an iPad mini. And the teachers, because they do so much for the students throughout the year, they get a $500 Amazon gift card. So yeah, isn't that great? And then
We love giving back to the teachers.
And I think it's important to give recognition to them, because a lot of the teachers use their own money to support their students and give things away that they need in the classroom to them. And so that's why we decided to add in the teachers as well. And then for middle school students, we decided we're also going to give them an iPad mini, because we can't go anywhere without our phone or our iPad, right? So we decided to give them that. And they also get the $500. They have to have a sponsor. The teacher has to sponsor them. So then that teacher also gets $500. And elementary, we did it completely different, because we've never done elementary before. And we wanted to make it a group project, because it's exciting to have kids work together. So on elementary, it's not individual submissions. It's a group submission, and they get a pizza party. I love pizza.
Fun.
And no one ever complains, right, about pizza. So we're doing that. And then we're also giving $300 in school supplies and the $500 gift card, Amazon gift card to the teacher.
Wow, you guys are really breaking the bank, giving out all this money. And Sam, you got to tell us how the viewers can get more information about the Spirit of Nevada show and to enter the scholarship contest.
Yes, so you just need to go to spiritnevada.org, and you can go ahead and submit online, as well as if you have a piece of artwork that you'd like to deliver to the Richard Harris Law Firm, who is the sponsor of the scholarship program and the show, you can go ahead and drop that off at 801 South 4th Street.
Nice.
In Las Vegas.
Thank you so much. We so appreciate you stopping by the show today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for showcasing it and spreading the word. The more people that know about this, the better. So thank you.
You're welcome.
We love that. I love it. They're giving back to the teachers, giving back to the kids, all things we love to see. And coming up in a brewery far, far away. Just kidding. Not in a brewery. But we are going to talk about having a beer with Chewbacca. I don't like hair in my beverages, so we'll see how this goes. Welcome back into Main Street Living Quincy. Sometimes when you put two great things together, like you and me, they become even better. Think peanut butter and jelly, chips and salsa, mac and cheese, all of it better together, right?
Yeah, you have all these pairings so great, but one group in San Diego, actually, they've come up with what may be the ultimate pairing, Danielle. We're talking Star Wars and craft beer. Are you guys familiar with the Star Brews Festival? Check it out.
So we're at the San Diego Space and Air Museum in Balboa Park, and we're doing a Star Brews Festival. It's really like the fellowship that people find coming here because everyone kind of has, similar taste. They're part of the same fandom and everything. And then, of course, you can't be mixing in, different local breweries. So it's really fun time for everybody to kind of find their own community here.
Pretty much just a ton of hardcore Star Wars fans coming out and enjoying some local craft beers. Star Wars and beer, what could be better?
We have different photo opportunities at our event for people. We have characters walking around in cosplay that they can stand and pose with. We have a professional photographer all night so people can, log back on and get all of their memories. We have different photo ops in front of really fun intergalactic themed backdrops. So we have a few different options for people to really remember the event.
It's pretty impressive. There's a lot of, when I say Star Wars fans, there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there dressing up in costume. There is a robot R2-D2 that comes around, some guy controlling our R2-D2.
I was always a fan of Star Wars growing up, so kind of wanted to build something, be able to give back to the community. People love it, it's a big hit. It's probably the biggest hit of the night.
We chose to have it at the San Diego Air and Space Museum because it's an open air dome, lots of space, and they do beautiful projections of the space on the walls here. They'll have different projections of the moon and different galaxies, and it really gives you that awesome intergalactic feel and really gets you really in the mood of the whole theme of the event.
It's a beautiful venue, amazing scenery, a lot of good people in here for the right reason, and a lot of good beer to be had. So if you're a Star Wars fan, this is where you want to be.
Well, Danielle, I have to be completely honest. I never got into Star Wars like
What?
that.
Come on. It's a class. Even if you're not super into it, I think what's so cool is that everybody knows about it. It's really stood the test of time. It's crazy. But if you feel like you missed out, we hear rumors that there will be another Star Brews Festival this year on May the 4th. So may the 4th be with you. Up next, we get to witness the true meaning of community. Welcome back into Main Street Living Quincy. Very excited for this next package we have here. Now, we've learned a lot over the past couple of years, the proper way to wash our hands, how to use the mute button on Zoom, some of us at least. But more importantly, we've learned how important our community really is.
That's right, Danielle. Charlotte Tidwell has been focusing on that community part for more than 20 years with Antioch for Youth and Family in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Now, you guys have to take a look at what this incredible woman and her group of volunteers is doing for their neighborhood. Ooh, this is pretty powerful.
We started this operation 22 years ago based on the need that I know existed in Sebastian County. My prior history is from healthcare, and so I was aware at healthcare the need for agencies to look at the bottom needs of people, whether that was homelessness or hunger. So we started this on a dime 22 years ago. It represents what I had to do as a child from the commands of my parents and the church. If you knew that anyone was in need, you did something about that. So it was a not necessarily a childhood ambition. It was the knowledge as a child that I needed to walk in someone else's shoes. So upon my retirement, I'm an adult with ADHD. So upon my retirement, I needed something to do. With the help of volunteers, enforcement, the help of churches, both black and white, we launched Antioch for Youth and Family. It has, in fact, blown out the windows with the need. Because I was in healthcare in 2019, we asked researchers out of Chicago with the Urban Institute to come in so that we could validate what the need really was. It was more than food. It was incarceration, homelessness, certainly food insecurity. We actually feed around 25 to 30,000 people a month. I think what is so unique about Antioch is another thing that was pushed down my throat as a child, and that is the volunteerism that goes along. I am a staunch believer that if you ask people, know that you value them, they will help. So for 22 years, this operation has never paid a salary. About probably 12 years ago, I approached the city for wasteland, and it was near the north side of town, which we have proven by gentrifying the maps that poverty exists along the river, north and south along the river. So we asked the city to give us some land, which is approximately 3 acres, and put a community garden. Marshal all the school children to the garden where they could really harvest for themselves and harvest for the elderly. Antioch, I think, has grown nationally because it's an organization that has done things not as we have been taught success in America, but the fact that we know that every person has a value, and we tap into that, both with children and adults. I have 5 80-plus-year-old buildings. In the building, personnel, volunteers, no money, that come to the building every day to assist somebody else. I hope that the thought of valuing people, no matter their ethnicity, their income level, is the way we really move America forward, and that everyone understands that we truly are our brother's keepers.
Wow, Quincy, I love what you said there. Every single person is important. They matter. They have something to offer. And I just think that's so important for everybody to say. That's your new mantra today. Everybody say that.
Yes, I need to learn to start saying that as well. But, the best part is Charlotte definitely has been on a beautiful journey. And it's good to see that she brought so many people together for a great cause. And you guys, you can get more information on how to receive or give help at AntiochYouthFamily.org. Straight ahead, we got more of Main Street Living. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back into Main Street Living. Lots of great stuff on the show today, Quincy, and yet another show that we are missing our lovely Cheryl, but hopefully we'll get her back very soon.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys are missing any of the other episodes, don't forget our Cox Contour app has them all.
That's right. And you can catch new episodes of Main Street Living on 9 p.m. on Mondays.
Monday, that's right. Well, we'll see you all back here again for another exciting show on the Main Street right here.
Time to do some cleaning, Quincy. We got to do it.
I'll try.